Foraging has been around since the beginning of humanity. I like to think of it as a lifestyle. Foraging is a practice of gathering wild food, and I wanted to share with you guys my top 10 reasons why I choose to forage whenever I have the chance. My name's Aubrey, and I explore everything foraging and art related in the Pacific Northwest, and I share it with you here on For the Foragers. Number 1, it saves me money. How much better can you get than it being free? It's definitely one of the most appealing aspects, which is why I put it as number 1. By gathering your own food, you can significantly reduce your grocery bills. And nowadays, with grocery bills shooting through the roof and not stopping, I definitely find benefit in this. Number 2, everything you forage is fresh and organic. I don't need to get too much into why it's so fresh. You're literally the one picking it. That's just obvious. But why should we care about our food being organic? The pesticides used in agriculture are so harmful to your body. They cause hormone disruption, neurological effects, respiratory issues, immune system suppression, reproductive and developmental harm, skin irritations and allergies, and they're carcinogenic, which means they can cause cancer. And all of this builds up within the fatty tissue stores in your body, which can lead to chronic health issues from the accumulated toxins. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, why not just shop in the organic section at the grocery store? Again, part of it is going back to the cost, but the other part of it too is that organic food from a grocery store, is not exposed to the pesticides. Because of the high demand and how long produce can sit on the shelves in a grocery store, a lot of our produce is picked while it's underripe and not as full of nutrients as it could be if they had waited until it was ripe. But since it takes 2 weeks on average to get the produce that is picked off of these farms from the farm to your home, they have to make sure that it's going to last that long. That's another reason why if you go to the farmer's market, you can taste the difference of the food that came directly from the farm versus something that is even at the organic section from the grocery store. The difference is huge. That's the true reason. My third reason for choosing to forage whenever I can is that it's simply more sustainable. We've already talked about all of the pesticide issues, so we won't keep going into that. Many of us already know that the pesticides can wind up in our water, resulting in that ongoing exposure to harmful chemicals, even if you choose organic at the grocery store. Foraging promotes sustainability by encouraging the use of those local resources and reducing the reliance on commercially farmed produce. It's a way to live more harmoniously with the environment and to utilize what the nature around us offers. My fourth reason for foraging is the physical and mental health benefits. The wild edibles that you go out and forage yourself contain way more beneficial nutrients like vitamins and minerals on a per weight basis than cultivated foods. I'm telling you, there's studies on this. I'm not making this up. But if you think about it, it starts to make sense even without knowing all of the science behind it. We've been farming for thousands of years, and when humans have a farm, you want to choose vegetables that are going to do the best in the farm, produce the most, are more resilient and hardy, and of course, the produce that has been easiest to cultivate over the years are the seeds that were kept and resown. And so genetically, these foods have been watered down. Now, whenever you go out into the wild, the plants that you're going to find out there haven't been genetically watered down and are really just packed full of those nutrients, the nutrients that the actual plants themselves needed to survive. Not only the nutrients that we want them to have in order to grow as big as possible, as fast as possible. My fifth reason is community building and really just passing down that traditional knowledge and mindfulness practices. Foraging connects you with the nature around you that's been around for generations before you and will be around for generations after you if we treat it right. So foraging connects you to ancestral practices and traditions. It's a mindful activity that requires attention to detail and presence in the moment, offering a break from the fast-paced demands of modern life. Foraging is also a social activity. You can take your friends out, and instead of going out on a hike, some people don't really like to do that for some reason, but instead you can take them out to the local park and y'all can help forage together for a lovely meal at the end of the day or for snacks. And it builds memories and keeps these traditional practices going. And I think that that's so important. Now, number 6 is wild edibles can absolutely transform your culinary experiences. I have cooked with so many foods that I never knew existed just a couple years ago, and have tried so many more dishes than I would have ever thought to because I went out and foraged for them. I've discovered how fun it is to cook with stinging nettles, which is something that I was told to fear. They're so good for you and they're superfood, and I will probably be doing a video on those. Check in later for that. Last year I made medicinal elderberry syrup using elderberries and local honey. There's wild garlic out there that isn't that hard to find either in a lot of places around the world. And wild mint. I love garnishing drinks and things with wild mint that I find during a foraging session. You can make jam with fireweed. You can make wine with dandelions, and those grow in most of our yards. It's so fun and exciting. Why not? Now, my 7th reason is for art inspiration and even art supplies. So if I'm going out foraging for art supplies, I prefer to look at invasive species. Something like Japanese knotweed. You can use this in place of any bamboo craft. It's just a little bit smaller in diameter than a lot of bamboo that you see around. I've seen some people make crayons out of them, which is such a cool idea, but of course they're edible too. And there's plenty of invasive flowering species where you're either medicinal or you can create paint out of them. There's something super special about painting with a paint that you created from a plant that you foraged. It's kind of a mind-blowing process. So rolling into number 8 is really just feeling that connection to the natural world. You're going out and you're feeding yourself with these plants that you picked with your own hands and creating things. You've seen every part of it throughout the entire process. I think it's just absolutely incredible. You're also learning about the ecosystem around you, and you're improving your identification skills. Now, this can be pretty daunting at first, but I have a couple of resources that I like to use for identification that have made it a lot less daunting. One of these is an app called Picture This. I'm not sponsored or anything. I just use the app anytime I am second guessing myself. I don't use it by itself to identify something, just as a caveat. I like to use this app paired with a book or more cross-reference material or websites and scouring other images across the web. iNaturalist is another great app too, where other people have identified plants in your area and you can compare with their specimens. And that also goes back to the community aspect of it. I love it so much. So number 9, while you're out there observing this gorgeous wildlife, you'll see animals that you don't normally get to see. You'll start to understand the importance of the biodiversity of the area around you and just how expansive it actually is. Number 10, and probably one of the biggest ones, self-sufficiency. Developing foraging skills enhances your ability to be self-sufficient. Knowing how to find and prepare wild foods provides a sense of security and resilience. It's empowering. I love that I'm able to go out into a park, identify these species, gather them, and have a meal for me and my family. There's not many people out there that can do that, unfortunately. Many of us don't have spaces for our own garden, and I don't think that that should hold somebody back from being able to have fresh food. I I feel so strongly that there's no reason why people should not have access to the freshest food available. And many of you do have access, but you just don't realize it yet. Embrace the wild food around you. So one more time, my 10 reasons that I love to forage is to save money because everything is fresh and organic. It's sustainable. It has physical and mental health benefits. It's community building and promotes maintaining traditional knowledge and mindfulness. It's fun to experiment with these plants in the kitchen. There are free art supplies and inspiration. It helps connect me with nature and boosts my learning about ecosystems and improves my identification skills. I get to observe the wildlife around me and the biodiversity of my area, and I'm building self-sufficiency while doing it. Foraging is so rewarding, and it connects you with nature and promotes sustainability and enhances your well-being. And whether you're an expert forager or just starting, there's always something new to discover. So grab a basket and head outdoors. And remember that there's plenty of a community to help you out if you have any questions on anything that you've foraged or would like to forage for. The community is kind of small, but we're strong and we love to help out new members.